Very gaming heavy day that we have on the docket, and we got to talk about, well, we talked in the first video about a game that's going to be releasing later this week. We got to look back into the past over this past weekend with the full release of Concord, and well, it was about as bad as everybody anticipated it was going to be, and then some. Concord developers reportedly removed the big gay tag from Steam after the game's release and abysmally terrible player counts. Well, how abysmally terrible were they? We'll get to that in due time. But what was your justification for getting rid of the LGBTQ plus tag? Because, well, to be fair, it was accurate because everybody has pronouns in their bio, and you have non-binary characters, and hell, this is supposed to be a different kind of hero shooter, a character-driven hero shooter with a story that evolves over the course of the seasons, where you can really get attached to characters like Imari. Well, attached, sucked into her orbit, whatever they want to call it over there. I'll have to take your word for it because I'm not one of the dozens of players who checked it out or are likely to check it out, even if they do revise their release model, which could eventually be on tab, but not before a lot of cringes come out. The development team, or at very least the community management team, has reportedly removed the big gay tag from Concord's store page following the game's release, and abysmally bad player counts. The official Concord account on X confirmed that the game went on sale at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on August 23rd, 2024, writing, "Do you think you can handle the wilds? It's time to find out because Concord is now live." About 10 hours later, Steam user Modding Spree noted that Firewalk Studios, the developer, removed the LGBT and political tags from the game. Oh, there were political tags, huh? And wrote that the game's Steam forum LGBT and political tags removed and blacklisted. He continued, "The developers made a big deal about this game being for modern audiences, all 600 of them." Oh, you're vastly overselling the popularity of this game. But for some reason, demanded Steam to not only remove those two tags, but also to blacklist them, plus any similar tags. It's too late. People already know this game has a clear agenda. I mean, the characters speak for themselves. And yeah, as we've known into the lead up to this, with the closed beta, with the open beta, hell, with the announcement trailer at the end of May, this game has been dead on arrival from the moment that we knew it was coming. And well, upon release weekend, even IGN couldn't even hide back the tears, because this is a game for the modern audience, and IGN is an outlet for the modern gamer. And well, even they had to report through gritted teeth, Sony live service shooter Concord debuts to a tragic 697 concurrent players on Steam. And that right there, brother, was the high water mark. And yeah, Sony's live service shooter Concord, available on PlayStation 5 and PC, has debuted to a tragic 697 peak concurrent players on Steam. But don't worry, there's literally dozens more people playing on PS5. Trust me. The data from a player tracking website SteamDB reveals Concord, which debuted on August 20th through a $60 digital deluxe edition, or August 23rd through the $40 standard edition, had a peak player count of 697 on August 23rd. Helldivers 2, another live service game from Sony, which launched in February of 2024, hit a peak concurrent player count of 155,926 during its opening weekend. It ended up topping out right in on and around 500,000. Yeah, and well, Helldivers 2 is its own entire bag of disaster right now, but you know, thank God Concord's out there, so they're not at least the biggest disaster right now that Sony has on their hands. The Finals, which did that also come out this year? It's been such a wild year. Yeah, but just about 250,000 people, and even, Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League, which was dubbed a disappointment by Warner Brothers Discovery boss David Zaslav, and prior to, well, a bunch of the games that are still ready and waiting for release, especially out of Ubisoft, was dubbed the biggest disaster of 2024, causing a $200 million loss for Warner Brothers Games, debuted with 12,786 peak concurrent players on Steam. Concord is just 5% of that number, and at time of recording on Monday evening, we right now have, oh my god, 223 people playing right now, 697 people being the high watermark. And over the past week, well, I mean, yeah, it starts out high and then it just dies. It dies overnight, but then, oh yeah, it comes back around, and ends up hitting 473 on Saturday. And then it pops back up to just a box hair, over 400 players on Sunday. It's never getting back to that 400 player mark. I mean, right now, okay, 200 players for a live service game. It's done. It's dusted. Okay, player count declines by 42% after the first weekend. Firewalk Studios Concord has one of the worst launches of the year, and it's getting even worse for the game as the player counts decline over 42% in its first weekend. And yeah, you had Tales of Kenzara Zhao and the Double Digit Club, Flintlock doing the exact same thing, a few other super woke releases, one we'll talk about in the next video coming up in that same club, but this one right here has Sony behind it. This one right here is a first-party title. This has millions, tens of millions, potentially hundreds of millions of dollars of development, because remember, this one ran an 8-year development cycle. I would be shocked if it wasn't in that 9-digit budget club. This is a disaster. A whole disaster. According to data from SteamDB, which we just looked over, the game had a peak concurrent player count of 697 when it released on Friday. Peak concurrent number declined to 402 on Sunday. Okay, skipping out on the 453 on Saturday or something like that. Yeah, and then on Sunday, that's a decline of 42.3%, and we'll never see that heights ever again. As far as sales, estimates range from Gamealytic estimated it sold over 7,300 copies. Well, that's about 7,200 more than I expected, while VG Insights estimated it sold 12,700. PlayTracker believes that it sold 13,100 copies, and only 600 people decided to, just about 700 people decided to check it out on release. Okay, the game is likely a massive financial disaster for Firewalk Studios and its parent company, PlayStation Studios. The game's lead character designer, John Wisniewski, admitted to PC Gamer that the game had been in development for around 8 years. He had been around for 5, and it had been in development for at least 3 years prior to him. So who knows exactly in what incarnation and how long this has been around for, but this is the end result. And well, with all of the numbers that are there in black and white, the only thing that we have to speculate is how many people were dumb enough to part with some cash. Well, we got to hear from the studio itself, and well, they're taking it about as well as you'd anticipate they would. Former Concord developer maligns critics as talentless freaks. Oh, you love to see it. As the game fails to hit 700 peak concurrent players. Yes, when in doubt, just lash out irrationally. A former Concord developer who now claims to work for PUBG Studios. Oh no. Thought they were generally pretty based. Anyways, maligned gamers who are opposed to Concord and its woke DEI agenda, which seems to be just about everybody. Ex-user Amin Zander posted to X to celebrate Concord's release. It's Concord release day, so insanely proud of the team and what they and we have accomplished. A labor of love like nothing else. Ben, yeah, I don't really care, bro. Playing it so much since early access started a few days ago, and I'm so excited for it to be available to everyone. That's nice. So honored to have had this be my first AAA game. It was a huge learning experience, lots of struggles, and I'm glad to have gone through them. Time to go play. Well, hey, you know, that's a nice ringing endorsement, okay? And you know what? If it just ended up there, that would be fine. Ex-user Preston Bunch of Numbers responded to the post writing, "I'm so sorry that this had to be your first. I do not believe it is you or any of the other devs' fault that the game has performed so poorly. I can tell that a lot of effort was put into completing this game. It just came out at the wrong time and genre." No. It was a dumpster fire from toes to titties. Like, there's no apology for this. It was as bad as anticipated and then some. In a now deleted post, Amin Zander responded, I don't really care. Oh yeah, no, I was really happy about working on this game, but it's like, I don't care. It was a huge labor from a lot of insanely talented people. Where were they exactly? Making an awesome game. Oh no, that's not what this is, okay? Like, it was, even from the people that played it, thought that it was, whatever, okay? On the closed beta, on the open beta, just going, yeah, it's kind of, like, it markets itself as, you know, a different take on the Overwatch formula, but in reality, it's not really like Overwatch, and it's a lot more just generic FPS slop. Like, it's a game for nobody, designed to appeal to the fringes of society. I don't know what they're doing here, but yeah, awesome game. I'll take your word for it. Why would I care about a bunch of talentless freaks hating on it? Oh yeah, exactly. That old tried and true argumentation method of, oh yeah, you can't criticize a game because what's the game that you made? It's like if you get food poisoning, you're not allowed to critique the chef that undercooked your meal because, hey, when was the last time you got paid to cook? It's so silly. It's a pathetic argument from a pathetic person. Despite claiming that he doesn't care, Min Xander hit a handful of replies and demanded the users pay him $8 if they want the posts unhidden. You can see the hidden replies below. I mean, oh my god, bro. Thanks, yeah, for this bad game. I'm sorry, I'm not playing a game without a disabled representation. Yeah, we'll just have to wait for Ubisoft to drop their Wheels McGillicuddy operator for Siege. And yeah, I'm glad the 10 people who pre-ordered this are having a blast out. No, trust me, it's the thousands of players, I'm sure, potentially. Yeah, here's an example of one of the replies to a hidden post. Yeah, pay me $8 to unhide your reply. But if you're working for, you know, PUBG Studios, studio behind an actually successful game, do you really need to beg for that money? Xander, the reaction is not surprising given the game's lead character designer John Wisniewski claimed the justice system in the United States of America was white supremacy back in 2020. So everybody attached to this are just, you know, freaks. So of course it's absolutely no shock to anybody that this game is a failure. It is a cataclysmic flop in a year that has been underwhelming for the games industry. Okay, there's been a number of indie hits that are out there. Pal World and Helldivers 2 before they went all flumpy in the brain. Most recently, you know, Black Myth Wukong. Make sure to get that one correct. You know, don't want to be accused of misrepresenting or mispronouncing the monkey game that, yeah, ended up breaking. Oh yeah, look at that. Breaking another concurrent player record over the weekend. 2.4 million people checked it out. That's fantastic stuff, man. You love to see it, and even right now, 700,000 people playing it. I don't know how long the game is. Don't know how long, you know, the monkey game hysteria is going to last for, but yeah, there have been some big hits this year. But in general, even the great games, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, its sales still between what, 2 and 2.5 million for only being on Sony's worthless plastic PS5, that underpowered hunk of crap. I'm waiting for a PC release. And there are some people, you know, needling, you know, Final Fantasy 16 and its Steam port. Well, it's running a different engine, one that was, you know, hilariously awful. I imagine we'll probably get word on that either at the end of the year at the Game Awards or at TGS. Hopefully we hear about something at TGS, so this holiday more people have access to what is still far and away the best game of the year. But that's been the games industry so far this year. Under the AAA games, first-party games, historically underselling, underperforming, or just outright bombing in the case of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. And then also, woke gaming dying a very loud, very vibrant death. Speaking of which, probably the biggest offender being Dustborn, and more on that in a moment. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.